Hey guys, how's it going? Thank you for joining us today here at the RBR Show. We're excited to have you with Rosie, Brittany, and Roger Hayer.
Hello.
Brittany just gave all of us a compliment right before the podcast. Do you want to share with everyone?
Do you want me to share with everyone?
You can do it. I don't tell you.
Wait, Roger, was that part of the thing?
Yeah.
Okay, then I have to share it for everyone because it's funny. I said that if you look at any of our clips, we all have RBF, which stands for resting bitch face. And we look like this.
And I said, don't be a pessimistic person.
There's nothing pessimism. There's no pessimism about it.
Yeah. How do you counter that? How do you, a lot of people will tell me smile. And I'm like, okay, like, how do I do that? How do I do that just at the drop of a dime,
This is how you do it.
You've been practicing?
Wait, I am curious at the end of this video if we're gonna probably go back into our old ways. You know what it is? It's our natural face. We can't help our natural face.
No.
We're focused. We're in tune. We're intense. We're listening.
We're very persistent.
I don't know what excuse you're giving yourself for a RBF face, but I ain't.
It's a natural face.
No.
We can't help it.
LaCroix is getting a free advertisement from me today. On that note,
they're sponsored.
All right, come on, guys.
All right, so I have a question for you. This is something that I've been thinking about in the last 24 hours, right? And it doesn't pertain to what we typically talk about. It's totally different. But I'm sure there's been situations in your life where you don't know how you're leaving the room. Like perhaps you were there with a few friends and you walked away from there and you said, I don't know, it's kind of funky. Is everybody okay? And you're thinking what's going on with them. And you start to play like a reel in your mind. Start to think, okay, like I was there and I don't know if I was received well. I don't know what was going on there. Have you guys had any dialogue like that going on in your minds once after leaving a room with someone? And what are your thoughts around that? Or how do you make sure that the narrative that you're having is one that is elevating you overall?
Do you want me to?
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I used to, I feel like, do that quite a bit, like would spiral a bit, like, oh my God, I shouldn't have said XYZ, something silly, right? Like, oh man, I said that and then they didn't think it was funny. And, you kind of go on and say crazy stuff to yourself. But I haven't done it in quite a while, I will say.
You know, what's really funny is you don't strike me as the kind of person that holds on to much. And of course, like, when we're looking at the world, we're going to see something different, right? When you see me, when I look at Rosie, I don't know what's going on in her head. But it's funny to me how we do leave a conversation. You called it spiraling. What is it?
Oh yeah, spiraling. You'll
spiraling,
be like
spiraling. Oh,
your mind starts going like, oh, why did I say this? I should have said this instead. And oh, I could have done this better, or whatever the case may be, right?
Is yours more towards yourself, or is it towards like the people that maybe you're having a conversation with?
Oh, it would be myself.
With yourself.
Yeah, wow. Because we all think that, like, we all think like, oh, I could have done something differently.
Yeah.
We're concerned about ourselves.
Well, let me know what you guys think about this quote. Rosie, do you have something to add before we move on?
No, I think you guys are spot on. I want to hear more.
Okay, so that's what happens, right? Like, I'm pretty sure it's universal. We are in an executive boardroom meeting and we leave the meeting and we think, oh crap, did I just make a fool out of myself? Or you think, were those people really, do they really enjoy my presence? or we think, I just told him my idea. What does he think? We have all these narratives that are going on. And so today we're talking about Marcus Aurelius. And this is something that he mentioned. He said, ignoring what goes on in other people's souls, no one ever came to grief that way. But if you won't keep track of what goes on in your own soul's doing, how can you not be unhappy?
Wait,
That
can
double
you?
negative threw me off.
No,
So
I'm confused. Hold
So
on.
basically, he's saying is okay. Read first.
okay, so you can't be happy. No one ever came to happiness looking into the souls of others, right? So if I constantly think, how is Brittany receiving me? What's going on with Brittany? How is she doing? Like if I constantly have an outward projection and I'm constantly looking into what's going on in your world, then I'm avoiding something in myself. Like in order for me to look into Rosie's world or your world or my kids' world or my client's world or my boss's world, like instead of doing all those things, he's inviting us to actually take a look within ourselves. And then how can you not be unhappy?
Yeah. So what I'm hearing from this is
It's a
that
double negative. I think that's what's throwing you off, Bree.
Probably.
yeah, he's
No,
basically saying it that is if we don't keep track of what goes into our soul, we would be unhappy. We would be. How can you not be unhappy?
The not in unhappy makes it a positive.
Yeah.
So how that's how you can be happy.
you know
Yeah.
how I
So,
read
huh.
it? Okay, wait. I have a something. Maybe this is controversial, but in my mind, this is what I'm thinking. Ignoring what goes on in other people's souls, no one ever came to grief that way. You know what I kind of thought about it as is what if you take, then this is kind of contradicting this, but what if you take away what you are doing or how you are being perceived and
Hmm.
instead focus on the other person, but not in a negative way, like focus on them, like what are their interests, what is their day like, what are they wanting to do. And if you do that and you are having, I don't know if I'm making sense, sorry,
No,
um if you're kind of putting your what am I saying, guys? You know what I'm saying?
What you're basically saying is that when we are constantly in a state of comparison on what other people are doing, what's going on in their mind, what opinion they hold of us, are we looking for validation, their approval, all that information, all that things that we can control, we are going to get grief that way because comparison leads to grief. But on the other hand, if we just keep track of our own soul, means we're keeping track of what we are doing, right? How can we, how cannot can you not be unhappy? Means if we just keep track of it, they said if you won't keep track of it, then you would be unhappy, but if I keep track of what's going on in my soul, then I'm happy. So it's comparison, basically what he's trying to say. If we compare with other people, that's where grief really kicks in from.
Yeah, like don't compare with other people, but show an interest in other people and don't
Yeah.
be so self-centered, only thinking about yourself. Show your interest with them, but don't compare. Run
yeah,
parallel.
there you go.
Yeah.
Be happy to coexist.
Yeah, a lot of people would
You know what? Please, Rosie.
yeah, so in our day to day, I was just listening to who was I listening to yesterday? They were talking about what social media. He great psychoanalyst person, right? He understands psychology, very well respected in that space. Gosh, he was on Jay Shetty's podcast. Anyways, I'll make sure I come up with the right answer before end of the podcast. But he was talking about social media is actually mirroring our brain activity, how our mind wanders off from one thought to another and we're just running off and off and on, off and on, off and on. Social media satisfies that because it's just going from one person's profile to other person's profile. Somebody's jumping off the cliff, somebody's painting their face, somebody's playing with their kids, somebody is shopping, somebody is doing makeup on their face, somebody is selling a real estate. So it's all of those things happening and it's almost like mirroring how human mind is, but it is completely disconnected from reality. The only reality right now we have is you and I are here talking about this conversation that Roger brought up from Marcus Aurelius. That is the only reality we have right now. Anything, any thought is not reality, it's imagination, right? But we think that is the reality. So, what I looked at a 6-second clip of somebody's life, and thinking, oh, that's their life. And now the brain goes into comparison. We don't know what led to those 6 seconds of clip. We don't know what walk they had to walk in what shoes to get there. And I swear to God, if sometimes we go deep enough and we look at the walk somebody walked and the shoes they wore, we wouldn't even want to think of
Right.
that.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to break this down into 3 steps or 3-part process or 3 parts, okay? So the very first part is that ignoring what is going on with someone else. That's the first part, because then we don't come to a place of grief. So constantly comparing, constantly looking at other people, what's going on with them. The second part is keeping track of what's going on with our own soul, with our own self. So when I keep track of myself, what's going to happen is I'm going to say, well, do I carry an air of cooperation, collaboration? Am I easy to get along with? Am I joyful? Do I express love and care in the way that other makes myself feel good and people around me feel good? So, and then that's the tracking part. The tracking, now, how do we track that is I would like to know from you guys, like what's one, I think 75 hard is a great example of that, actually, is when we're tracking our own progress, when we're tracking ourselves. Okay, like today is a little bit more challenging than it usually is, and I still need to be committed. I got to follow through with my goals. Like having those conversations with ourselves are way more, I guess, advantageous, lucrative, profound, higher quality. And then we just can't be unhappy doing that because we're spending time with ourselves. And the more time I spend with myself, the more pleasant I am with Rosie, with you, Bree, with with my kid and everybody else. That's what I get from it.
Yeah, no, I like that. I like that. I think more I focus on where I'm headed and what I'm doing, more happier the life is. We can't really control how the things are going.
Yeah. And I think the reason why this is also important is because if there's something that you've been meaning to do and that you've wanted to do for a long time, then it allows for that collaboration to, or that it allows for those gears to, what is the word I'm looking for? It allows for things to move more easily. It allows you to manifest those sides of yourself that you've been wanting to see. And I think manifestation, people talk about money, but I'm saying like the experience you want to create for yourself of being with yourself,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
of personal growth, of meeting new challenges and that sort of thing.
Yeah. And I think a lot of energy is just spent in figuring ourselves out. I don't know how much bandwidth we leave out for ourselves when we spend so much time just observing other person's path, right?
Yeah, we don't.
We
You're
only
right.
have so much energy to figure things out in a day. If we spend half our energy just figuring other person out, then it comes with a baggage of comparison. Then we don't know. I don't know if I have enough energy to really push my purpose further. So that's why it's somebody was asking me the other day. It's like how's days going? I said chopping wood and fetching water. You wake up in the morning, you do your thing, and you're just done, and that's it. There's nothing else you can really control, right? So I feel like we can slowly and slowly become more centered with our work, and this what rest of the world is doing. You can't really. That's unimaginable effort, I would say.
What do you think about this one?
Don't uselessly correct people. I think it's basically opinions. Opinions invite criticism, advice invites collaboration. So I feel like once we have learned something good and we have something good to give, we just feel like we uselessly go around and correcting people.
Yeah. Hmm.
We feel the urge to share information what we have on our mind. Uh, the underlying thing is that we want to come across smart. We don't
Ah,
know if it's useful to the other person or not, but we just want to come across smart.
well, I don't know. When there must have been a recent experience where you guys felt like maybe you were correcting someone, or were you holding back an urge to correct somebody?
Yeah. Brie, what do you think?
And
Um, I don't really like to correct people anymore.
How did you come to that?
What's the point, right? I think people are going to do what they want to do. If they ask, okay, the only person that I that I uselessly correct to are two people, my husband and my kid, and they don't seem to appreciate it.
They don't seem to
yeah.
appreciate it?
Never,
Wow.
especially Ella. She's always
Wow.
right. She tells me, "Mom, you don't know everything. Only God knows everything." I
Oh,
said,
smart
"You're
girl.
correct." I said, "But I know a little more than you." And then then she says, "No, I don't." Uh,
So I think this urge for me comes up, just chatting with friends, talking about stuff, and then all of a sudden I find myself having this urge to correct the record when at least it has something to do with me. Um, I don't
oh,
know.
I didn't think about that. Yeah, I think I do that too, actually.
Yeah.
If it has
So,
to do,
one thing that happened yesterday was I had someone come up to me and say something political. And I said, okay, so you're just going to guess like where I am with this? Like, you're just going to come walk up to me and just say something political and just assume I'm a part of whichever party you're a part of. And there, I, I tried holding back, but I don't know if I did a good job or if I gave him an answer or what, but that's one of those urges right now, right? And so I think why that's important is because it takes us away from our goal. It takes us away from the progress that we can make in our lives because that conversation with him going deep into that, which didn't happen, but would have just wasted all of my time, It would
Yeah.
have just ate up my time. It wouldn't have made any difference to either one of us. I don't know if that makes sense.
no, it does.
It does. Yeah. It's perfect.
Because we only have 24 hours in a day, and how do we want to utilize them? And, you know, I remember this one time I mentioned something to somebody, an investment that I wanted to make. I wanted to make an investment, and I got into a conversation with someone, and I got so into the moment, correcting the record and making a case for why that investment should be made. And you know what I did ultimately? I took my eye off the prize because talking about my goals made me feel like I already accomplished them. And then I ended up not making that investment and I saw the price of that item go up.
Mm.
Oh.
It's a true story. It really happened.
Wow. Were you
And I
married
was
to me at
thinking,
that time?
well, what's that?
Were you married to me at that
I was
time?
married to you at that time. Yeah. And this was a family member. So I talked to a family member. I said, I'm thinking about investing into XYZ, whatever it was. And they said, I really don't think you should do that. And I got into a conversation with them, back and forth, back and forth. And afterwards, I just took my eye off the prize and I didn't do what I didn't follow through with that thing. But I was thinking about how many people actually might be doing that with real estate, especially right now when things
Mm.
are a bargain. So
Yeah.
I'm interested to know how many. I think that that's happening a lot.
Yeah.
yeah, like watch the news. That's the
Like today, we
conversation.
presented really good two deals, and I feel like more I see people make point for themselves and they're correcting the record, and they're making point of why something should be done and not, and while things are just slipping away from their hands. And we are watching it happen. We can only make so much noise about it because that's our responsibility and that's our business. And but at some point, you just have to move on to the next conversation with the next person who's listening.
Yeah. Hey, so Ian, hey Ian, really good to see you. That dark green
He said,
background is probably better dark blue.
dark
Oh,
blue. Oh, really? Well, what about Rivet Real Estate's green color then? We're trying to branding here, Ian.
you know what? Next week we're gonna try the dark blue.
We're gonna make sure Ian knows it. Tag him in.
Hey, that's your friends. Your friends can tell you, you know.
Oh yeah, yeah. There you go. My friends, they really tell me what's up.
Your friends can
They
tell you.
don't. They don't want to hear from me. What's up? I'm teasing you too. You see, he didn't get my teasing.
I'm just really happy to hear from him. I haven't spoken to him in a long time.
Good seeing you, buddy. I'm so glad you're here. I hope you're doing well wherever you are. Okay, so that's a good reminder. I needed that today.
Yeah.
What, to have a blue black background? Kidding.
RBF. RBRs have RBF faces. Okay, good. So Roger, what next?
No, I really think that's the key. I think if anybody wants to create momentum or change, and that's what we're talking about. We're talking about creating momentum and change, is first to tune out and tune in. Tune out to what's happening in the outside world. Tune in what's happening with your own self, and then that gives you a great platform. And then we don't do things for money's sake. I think I like that quote: "Make money, but don't let money make you." So, you know, I think it's a great reminder. Like, why are you doing it? It's a time to collapse. Oh gosh, the words escaping me, but it's a alignment. Like, why buy more rental properties? Are you buying them for, like, when we look at the average American and your retirement and everything else, having a few rental properties can go a long ways. I mean, I've seen it in the 15 years of my career helping sellers and going to their homes, and when they've had a few rental properties and now they're ready to kind of, sell everything off and go into retirement, they have a nice nest egg versus someone who didn't, and they don't have much to fall back on. And so, not doing it just because you want to get rich, but doing it because it's the responsible thing to do. It takes actually quite a bit, I think, to acquire rental properties and to have wealth, because you're not you're not following the Instagram crowd and doing all of those crazy things. You're saving your money and you're investing it versus spending it. So investing versus spending.
Yeah. Yeah.
I hope this conversation is resonating with y'all.
No, it is. I think sometimes we don't need very complex ideas. We need sometimes simple reminders, and I feel like my life has been, the best moments of my life has been when I've been honed in and focused into who I'm becoming. This constant raise of the eyes to look at, okay, what the world is doing has only left me distracted.
Yeah.
And only made me sometimes question my own abilities. So I subscribe to that. More. I think every time I've done that, it was a reminder. Go back to what you know best and just do that.
Yeah. What are you saying yes to? What are you saying no to? We read the book earlier this year and we talked about it here on the show. It was something about, I think it was The Millionaire Next Door. And they were talking about the habits of millionaires and how most of them, a majority of them actually, this one spouse is a school teacher and the husband has like a normal job. They don't have a extraordinarily high household income, but they're really big in saving the money that they do make. And so, one thing that I've really been enjoyed about the friends that I've come to make at this point in my life is people that don't need to brag or boast or show off and are doing well for themselves, and I think Austin kind of is that place where less is more, you
Mm,
know. We're a little bit less surface level, more deep people, I feel like.
mhm,
And as long as you have a really good meal, and I promise you, all the great meals, all the memorable meals were ones we made at home and shared with our family, and like a good thick stew with meat and veggies is so nourishing, But you could go out and spend all this money at these restaurants and stuff, but it not do anything for you. And I recently heard somebody really wealthy. This guy had a net worth of over $100 million,
mhm,
and he was talking about how he goes out to eat like very seldomly, so, because it's a reward. It's a reward that he gives himself.
mhm.
And hearing somebody who has the money to buy anything under the sun consider eating out a reward, it really kind of recalibrates. That's the word I was looking for, calibration. So it recalibrates things. And otherwise, our desires could be like an endless pit. We can never fulfill them, you know?
Mm.
And I mean, maybe it's a part of our creation, how we're created. Like, we always want more, you know? Just
Yeah,
because it's a resource. Food is a resource, so you want to hoard as much of it as you possibly can.
yeah, yeah.
And but
Yeah, I'm very glad that we had this conversation today because as we take upon more things, sometimes even just running with the things with your own vision and heart are much more impactful and much more satisfying than thinking, okay, if I'm doing it, how other people are doing the same thing. Then we start having this judgment around, unconscious judgment around, am I on the right path? What results am I supposed to get with it, right? So sometimes just following your heart and just doing one step at a time is just enough.
yeah,
It's just,
doing the things that are true for you.
yeah,
You
staying
know,
to,
the Tao says something like, "No great sage attempts anything big," and I can't tell you how much that's opened up for me in my personal satisfaction. Uh, if I start to measure it as far as wealth and money and things, I think that's like really just single focus, like, is the quality of my life saying, what am I saying yes to? What am I saying no to? And am I making those small commitments along the way? And small commitments are so much more easier to fulfill. If someone's getting going with a goal, the what is it? The first step to 1,000 mile, like 1,000 mile journey starts with a single step,
yeah,
which is also from the Tao, is a
yeah,
beautiful saying.
yeah.
And where in our lives can we take that first step of a 1,000 mile journey, and then
Mhm.
to realize that all of life is really just a journey.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
reading about Socrates today, and he was given the death penalty, and so he had to drink this poison, and then so rather than sitting around and waiting to die, he was walking. And they said he was walking around the room, and they said that was symbolic of the journey. You know,
Mm.
I still have to interpret that because it's just fresh on my ears. I just heard it this morning. But I think for the next 24 hours or more, I'll be really thinking about that idea and marinating in it on it a little bit. Is what is what does journey mean for you? What does journey mean for me? And what is my journey? And what are the pit stops along the way? What's the scenic? What are the things I want to see along the journey? What
Yeah.
are the things I want to experience in that journey?
Mm.
You know,
Mm.
the
Sound-
superficial things or the real deep stuff, the real good stuff. You know,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Well, Great conversation today, guys.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Great conversation. So thank you, Roger. You have always last week was without you. I can officially say I missed his presence.
Me too.
Oh, I'm so
Hey,
happy.
it took me 20 years to get here. The journey has
Who
been
said you're
amazing.
there yet? Nobody said
Hey,
you're there yet.
there's no way she would have said this 20 years ago. So I'm delighted.
Well, guys, on that note, we have delivered 30 minutes and 30 seconds of high value conversation today. And I hope you all had fun. Can't wait to see you guys next week. Our niece is getting married this week. So, hey, it's going to be a wedding week. And Bree's birthday is coming up. Happy birthday, Bree.
Happy
And
birthday, Dee.
you'll hear from us on that day too. And love you all. Thank you for being here. And
Oh,
thank
so
you.
we don't have coffee social this week. We do have some really exciting news in the pipeline. You'll
Yeah.
want to make sure that you are following along for that. Where I think we'll be announcing something big in the next few weeks.
Yeah.
But right now, coffee social won't be happening this weekend, this Friday.
Mhm.
Next Friday, we'll be back on schedule. And so we look forward to seeing everybody then. And we love you.
Thank you, guys. Love you all. Bye
Yeah, love
bye.
y'all. Bye.
Bye.
Take care.